I am so glad you clicked in because you have found the largest, most impressive motorcycle auction in the world. Hello, Cycle Drag Universe. How are you? We're back once again. If you follow this outlet, you know that about 6 years ago, we discovered the Mecum Motorcycle Auction, and we have been coming back ever since. Why? Because it is the most incredible display of vintage collectible bikes from all different years. We'll even see some modern bikes in there, and every motorcycle has such a cool story. So here's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna take you on a quest to see what we can find here at the Mecum Motorcycle Auction. If you're pressed for time, you're gonna wanna watch this in segments. You're not gonna wanna miss a single bike. If you have time, sit back, relax, kick those feet up because guys, we're about to take you on a tour and who knows what we're gonna find in there. Let's go.
Thank you.
Guys, I'm pumped, and every year when I come here, there's usually a motorcycle front and center to let you know the show's going on. And do they have one again this year? Yes, they do. Must be time for another auction. And guys, when I said all different years, I mean it. They have a 1931 Harley Davidson flathead on display out front, an incredibly valuable motorcycle, and this is just the beginning. Guys, I told you it's an international happening. Just met my friends John and Martin from Australia.
I'm from Australia now. Used to be from England and used to ride the Hobbit drag bike, John Hobbs Racing.
You're the man. Well, we got a great show coming up, so thank you for being here, and thank you for being here, and thank you guys for watching Cycle Drag Worldwide. And here's how you know you're getting close. I love what they do to the steps. That's so cool. Here we go. All right, guys, here we go. Oh my goodness, I can already tell we've got a lot to show. We've got a lot to talk about. So much here. So many new motorcycles. Settle in, guys. Let's go. A lot of BMWs taking center stage this year. That'll make my godfather, Murd, very happy. He's the biggest BMW fan I know. Shout out, Murd. We got some more coming your way. We'll dive in deeper in just a second. Auction just getting started here on day 1 of 5. And guys, on day 1, a lot of parts bikes roll across the block, and then it ends with the coup de grace, some of the most expensive bikes here. That'll be at the end of the auction. Let's just take a quick look around and give you a preview. How about a 1978 Kawasaki Z1R, all original. And guys, we're gonna go all the way back to when motorcycles looked a lot more like bicycles. We'll talk more about that in just a little bit. Look at this row of Indians. Look at this old school Harley Davidson, and how about it? Even the Suzuki Hayabusa becoming collectible, especially one that's tricked out, doesn't have to be stock. Every genre represented. We'll see plenty of dirt bikes. This one historic. This is Steve Lampson's AMA winner. It is the factory outdoor Husqvarna. This thing was awesome. The model that started the sport bike, the Honda CB, and the one that took it to the whole new level, the Z1, which eventually evolved into the KZ1000. Who grew up riding one of these? Even the mini trails and mini bikes becoming very, very collectible. The Honda Trail 70. Oh, we had so much fun on this when we were kids. Where's my Ninja fans? Where's my Top Gun fans? There's the one that started it all, 1984 Kawasaki Ninja, right next to this beautiful custom KZ900. And how about this, Honda fans? The 6-cylinder 1979 CBX. Harley fans, we didn't forget you because we've got some V-twins to die for. Pardon the dad joke, but in all seriousness, if you don't think a 1919 Harley Davidson Model J twin is cool, I don't know what to tell you, but we're just scratching the surface. And guys, here's what I'm really talking about. Take a look at this. You want to know why it's the world's largest auction? Yeah, there's a few days. There's a few more days over there. I don't even know where to begin. I'm gonna have to settle down and settle in myself here. I'm just giving you a quick preview before we actually start telling some of the stories of these bikes, but this is awesome, guys, and you got a front row seat. I hope you could be here in person one day with me. Comment down below if you recognize any of these bikes, if you had any of these bikes, if you ever ridden any of these bikes. I wanna know all about it down below. Big vendor area for parts, and hey, check out this Mecum 490. Only bad news, guys, take a look at this. Not for sale. This one in his private collection. I think we can all relate with some of those motorcycles that we just don't want to get rid of, but look at all these parts. And here's something to keep an eye on, Cycle Drag, because you know we love our Z1s, and this collection actually belongs to one of the greatest motorcycle drag racers of all time, our good friend Mike Konopacki. We're going to catch up with the Pac-Man later on. He brought 4 of these beauties down from Canada. We'll see what they command. He said he's hoping to get, are you ready for this? About $30,000 a bike. And some of you might have just heard that figure and fell over, and you're like, Jack, $30,000. Guys, the collectability of these Z1s, of vintage Japanese bikes, is absolutely through the roof. And keep in mind, here at Mecum, this is the highest echelon because of all the international bidders watching, everybody online, everybody with deep pockets here in person. And Mecum does have fees on each side. So because of that, we see these motorcycles go for more than they've ever gone for. So if you're looking for your dream bike, this is a good place. If you're looking for a deal, probably not going to find a deal here because everybody knows what they have and knows what it's worth. But the dichotomy and diversity is just astounding. How about a KDX Woods Weapon? Love that. Big red, the 3-wheeler. Boy, those were dangerous back in the day, but a whole lot of fun. The old Honda XR75. And what do we have here? Kawasaki KX250. What year is this? If I had to say, I believe this is an 86, guys. I see this motorcycle, I just think of Jeff Ward. Heavy dose of 2-strokes will be coming your way in this video. I promise you that. You know we love our old triples. Here's the Kawasaki H1500 1969. And guys, when I tell you, you never know what you will see. How about an Excelsior Henderson still in the crates? This is the special edition Super X 85 cubic inch monster. Only about 1,800 of these produced, and this one's still in the crate. Whew, it's gonna bring in a few bucks. Check out this row. I see an old school GS750 with that big fairing, another Honda Trail 70, Kawasaki GPZ900R, everything. Guys, look at the Triumph here, the big motor bike, Honda old school, Yamaha 100. There is just so much to see. And this is why I said you're gonna wanna set some time aside for this one because we got so many seats. Oh, like I can't even walk down the aisle without being stopped. H1500. This is a 1974 Kawasaki H1500. Love that paint, that classic green on green livery. That is a beautiful motorcycle. We see a few at the drag strip. Shout out Eric Thomas in Pennsylvania. I know he has one that he drag races. These count as well, guys. We'll see some bicycles here. This market really coming on strong. 4 wheels, welcome to. Hey, it's a Honda. It's a 1982 Honda FL250 Odyssey go-kart. It counts. We'll see what it goes for as well. Guys, look at the amount of dirt bikes too. They're really, really coming on strong. That's something I didn't see 6 years ago. This market just continues to change and evolve. Yeah, there's been some interesting discussions in this world. One of them being, what is the future? What does the future hold? Because you don't see too many young people at this auction. And in fact, if you could, I'd like for you to leave your age down below. So some fear, is it going to crash? Will prices go down? But I'll tell you this. This is my 6th year here, and I certainly don't see any type of recession or correction or crash here at Mecum. Prices just continue to skyrocket. We got Mecum merch in the house as well. Where's my chopper fans? We'll see a few of these, I promise you that. Motorcycle art and collectibles. Oh, the stuff we all got rid of that you probably thought would never be collectible or valuable. Check it out, motorcycle license plates from throughout the years, California plates. We'll see what they bring in here. They are collectible. To be joined by a true legend, Mr. Chip Goose. Chip, I gotta ask you, what is your impression of the Mecum Motorcycle Auction?
Oh, this is cool. You know, I'm known for cars, but I love the bikes too, and I love bicycles as well. But, this is the first time I've been to this auction, and I will be back.
What do you think about the market? It just keeps going up. Like with the cars, we saw a Z1900 that was expected to go for 25 yesterday, go for 50. I mean, it keeps going up.
How about that bike with the airplane motor?
Amazing. Absolutely amazing. Well, if I made you big, if you could get one motorcycle out of here, which one would you take?
Oh, one bike out of here?
One bike out of here.
Boy, I'm not sure. That's a tough pick.
Well, maybe you'll leave with one. Are you a registered bidder?
No.
Hey, that's all right. Probably better off that way.
Playing it safe today.
Thank you very much. We appreciate it, ladies and gentlemen. He is the legend, Mr. Chip Goose. Old school Harley Davidson display. Not sure where they dug this up. Kudos to the people that hung on to this stuff. Okay, I remember this one. You gamers, you pinball fanatics will love this one. I've played this machine before. Can't play it here because it's now, you guessed it, collectible. Who would have held on to that? Maybe it was in somebody's basement, game room, maybe it was in a bar. Nonetheless, these pinball machines, now collectible. It is the Bally Harley Davidson game, and then, oh man, look at this. Wow, this one, an Evel Knievel pinball machine. That one's got to have some serious value. We have Knight Rider as well. Harley Davidson foosball table. And this auction's getting going. When you see that flurry of activity, that means things are moving fast. So let's take you right up to the auction block and give you a glimpse of what's going on here on day number 1. This is the staging area, and Mecum couldn't do it without the absolute dozens and dozens of workers that they get in each local market. They do bring in their own team, and then they rely on a lot of boots on the ground in the local market because they need a lot of help. This takes a lot of manpower to pull this off. As we approach the stage, a lot of dirt bikes, a lot of vintage dirt bikes ready to captivate a whole bunch of bidders watching from far and wide.
Takes a lot more. Rebuilt by Forrest All of Advanced Tool and Die.
So guys, check it out. As you saw, not every motorcycle is going to be sold. A lot of them have reserves, and they will not meet that reserve. But check this out. There's also a program called The Bid Goes On. If you're watching one that didn't sell, you can come over, basically make an offer. They'll connect you with the buyer, and a lot of times, that's how we see these bikes go. It really just depends on how bad somebody wants to sell one of them.
Now offering G154 is the 1982 Husqvarna 125, imported from Switzerland, recently serviced, started, idled, and shifted, sold on a bill of sale, no reserve.
Some of these bikes have no reserve either. They will go, guaranteed.
750, got 1,000 right there, 12.15. 1,000's about, get it about 15, get it about 12 to 15 pin, and then get it about 15, get it about 17, 15, get it about 15, 17 at pin, hit 17, after, get it about 15, get it about 17, 15, hit 15 pin, get it about 17 up here, get it about 15, get it about 17.
So I don't know if you were able to follow what happened there, but pretty interesting. He had no reserve. Starting bid was 1,500. He dropped it to 1,000, no bidders. He dropped it to 750, almost cleared it. Finally, somebody bid, and it ends up selling for 1,750. Such a game here. Such a cat and mouse game.
Let's go buy a BMW. Last call, sir. Upstairs, you're out at 7.
Guys, bidders from all over, and I gotta say, the most well-dressed man has got to be Louis. Louis, thank you so much for being here. You have a motorcycle for sale?
Yeah, I have a motorcycle for sale. Absolutely. A 1935 Monaco Young. You know, it's matched my outfit.
Yeah.
Or I matched the bike, whatever.
Perfect. How exciting is this to have a bike in the auction?
Well, Mecum Auction is the biggest auction in the world, so to have your bike, you know, going to be on stage, you know, it is pretty spectacular. It makes you feel like, whoa, I'm a superstar. You know, I'm selling my bike.
There you go. Well, good luck. We wish you all the best, and we'll see what he can do, guys. Definitely the best dressed here.
Take care, guys.
And of course, few fans like to have a couple cocktails and enjoy some motorcycles. What's better than that, right? How about it? Cheers. Well, guys, I told you to get your favorite beverage, whether that's alcoholic or non-alcoholic, and enjoy it. I think I'm going to go for a Diet Mountain Dew here in a second. Cheers, because I'm going to need some energy to keep up with all these motorcycles. This is nuts. Pretty good place to find the parts that you need for your restoration as well. These come from all over the world. Some of these odds and ends getting so difficult to find. Anybody who's ever done a restoration knows that. The older the bike, the tougher it can be. Look at all these tanks from throughout the years. Pretty cool. We got some frames over here too, and something to like tell you about the tanks. Some of you guys might be like, hey Jack, why didn't they clean up these tanks before they tried to sell them? Well, remember guys, there's different schools of thought, but the prevailing one in this world is it's only original once. So forget fixing a dent or touching something up. A lot of these individuals won't even wipe it off, and that's a smart move until you sell it to the right person and figure out what they want to do with it. It's all about what you want to do with it. Myself, I like to shine them up. I like to keep them clean. You know, that's how Cycle Drag rolls, but some of them, they love them. Like I said before, it's only original once. They can be dirty, they can be rusty. That's how it survived. Another big selection of tanks. No body work needed, only original once. Well, let's dive into some of these stories and get this party started. There are so many motorcycles to see here at this mecca of classic two-wheeled machines. We're going to cover a lot of different genres, but being that we are Cycle Drag, I'm sure you may have guessed that we're going to start with a drag bike, a very special one. Who remembers this? In 2006, Harley Davidson released a direct from the factory drag bike known as the V-Rod Destroyer. This thing would go right in the nines. 60-degree engine, made about 170 horsepower. And here's the kicker, guys. There were only about 645 ever produced, 625 released to the public. Well, this one here has never been started. This thing was a performance juggernaut. In fact, it's the fastest motorcycle that Harley ever made. Oversized valves. They had a bunch of drag racing goodies on it. They had a long stroke flywheel. Check this out, guys. It's got an air shifter. Had a lot of special parts from our friends Wayne and Donna at Pingle, and we want to give them a big shout out. This is when NHRA was really showcasing the Harleys, and Harley was pumping a whole lot of money into that organization. Came with a programmable shift light. If you're new to drag racing, what that does is it flashes and it tells you when to shift. This thing was awesome. I gotta imagine the fact that this one's never been started, it's gonna end up in somebody's showroom or atop somebody's bar. And here's another one. So out of the 646 produced, I can tell you where 2 are currently. This one out of Nevada, out of the Bob Weaver collection. Guys, and what's really cool is if you come out to certain drag races, you can still see them in action. Even though they're super collectible, a few guys out there still race them and race them very well. Bill Rowe, Rich Vreeland, a whole host of others, keeping them alive. That's what a racing motorcycle looked like in 2006. Here's what one looked like in the year 1927. This is a finally restored Harley Davidson board flat track racer. And you know, it just blows my mind to look at these small tires and just imagine these brave, fearless men racing back in the 20s on a motorcycle like this. A true piece of history. How many of you would love to have this in your man cave? I know I would. Have you ever seen a $30,000 KX250? Well, that's what this is expected to bring in. Let me explain to you exactly why that is. It's a piece of racing history. This one was ridden to a very significant win by Jeff the Chicken Matasevich. In fact, he won the 1995 All Japan National. This has factory works suspension, a factory works engine. This one being sold on a bill of sale. And like I said, guys, believe it or not, it is expected to command $30,000. And I must say this year, the BMWs have got to be perhaps the biggest stars of the show. We're going to wait for the Human Encyclopedia, John Kramer. He's going to give us some info about that coming up. Stay tuned for that. Check out this Cyclone Racer. You guys are never going to believe this. All right, now be honest. How many of you spit out your coffee or beverage of choice when I said $30,000 for that Jeff Matasevich SR KX250? Well, how about spending hundreds of thousands of dollars on a motorcycle? And that's what this one is worth. That's what it will command. Why? Because there's only 3 left that we know of, and here is one of them. It's been restored by famous sculptor and motorcycle enthusiast Jeff Decker, and Mr. Decker said, quote, "The Cyclone is the very wellspring that inspired me to begin sculpting racing motorcycles." Guys, check out some of the features. How about the stacked gas tank bladder? We've also got Indian racing frame and period correct forks, and the power plant. How about it? A 61 cubic inch, 45 degree V-twin, this motorcycle is going to command a pretty penny. A lot of activity and a lot of smiles here today. Yep, I see that smile. Yeah, I think you could call this show the Smile Maker. Now, want to touch a little bit more on where this market is headed. Earlier, I told you about the fear. Will the Gen Zs and the millennials appreciate these bikes? But I can tell you what's going on right now. A lot of people are like, hey, we bought these 3 years ago, and they're already up 20%. So this market continues to skyrocket, at least for the short term. What will happen in the long term? I don't know. Let me know what you think down below in the comments. We're going to look at some sport bikes here in a second, but first I think we need to pay a little homage to something that started it all. Well, as we have seen in the early 1900s, all the way through the 50s and 60s, V-twins rolled the roost. That is until Honda released this beauty. Many credit the CB750 as creating the sport bike. It was first released in 1969. It featured 4 cylinders and an overhead cam, and it is a piece of history. These are legendary. Really paved the way for the 1973 Z1900 by Kawasaki. Here's where the single overhead cam and the 4 cylinders live. This bike, so iconic. This one's a 1974. These are 5 speeds. Here's a look at the iconic and desirable Flake Sunrise orange paint. These things are awesome, guys. The Honda CB750, very sought after. And you have to wonder, where would the Hayabusa be? Where would the ZX14 be? Where would the CBR be without this bike? The Honda CB750, it started the sport bike trend. And look at how far Honda advanced a decade later, guys. This is the 1985 Honda VFR 1000. It was the fastest production bike in the year 1985, a top speed of 150 miles an hour, double overhead cam, 4-stroke V4 engine. Look at the livery, look at the styling. The motorcycle industry was changing rapidly in the 80s. Things were rapidly changing. Let's jump ahead 7 more years. Here is the Suzuki GSXR 1100. Look at the classic livery. Probably one of the best looking bikes of all time. What do you think? Let me know in the comments. I know this one stopped me. It was just so different. It stood out. Gotta love red and black. You know, we love that. It's a little touch of gold too. I don't know, man. Maybe I'll have to buy this one. It's expected to bring in about $20,000. I don't know if my pockets are that deep. Maybe if we get 20 million views on this video, but this thing is awesome, guys. I absolutely love these bikes. Because of that cool bodywork, it is known as the Tiger Edition, 1992 GSXR 1100R. This one totally unrestored, low miles, guys. And it's also the last year of the oil-cooled GSXR 1100R Tiger, which makes it even more collectible and even more sought after. The GSXR 1100 was made from 1986 to 1998 before giving way to the popular GSXR 1000. This motorcycle made about 155 horsepower. Gosh, it is good looking. Somebody buy it for me, please. It's beautiful. If the CB750 created the sport bike, here's the machine that took it to the whole new level. It all started with the 1973 Kawasaki Z1900, a project dubbed the New York Steak. It then evolved into the 74 Z1B, and this one, the 1975 Z1B. This thing, we've seen so many of these at the drag strip. They're kind of revered as the small block Chevy of motorcycle drag racing. They are becoming so collectible that we're seeing a lot of drag bikes return to street form. Especially if you somehow saved the stock exhaust, you have yourselves a gem. This one never went to the drag strip, and it's only got 1,300 miles on it, and that's what makes it really desirable and sought after here at Mecum. Should command a pretty penny. And when I say pretty penny, get ready to cry if you're like me and you passed on a lot of these 20 years ago at garage sales, barn finds, etc., because you had too many motorcycles or you didn't need another project. Pretty penny is expected to be $20,000 for one in this condition. They're hard to find in this condition. This one, like I said, unrestored, and that's what makes it even more valuable. It is so pretty. 1975 Kawasaki Z1900. With the KZ1000 doing so well in the late 70s, here was Honda's answer, or at least what they thought it would be. The 6-cylinder, 6 carburetor, 24 valve air-cooled monster known as the CBX, debuted in 1978. This one is a 1979 Super Sport. Now, what is wild here, guys, is this motorcycle nowadays is highly sought after and very desirable, but it wasn't in the late 70s. Honda had a really hard time pushing these, and the CB900 was outselling it by a long shot, and that is why this motorcycle didn't last too long. 1982 was the last year for it, but I'll tell you, they sure are collectible now. It's funny how things change. 105 horsepower, but what did this teach us more than anything? Bigger is not always better. The fact that they had trouble with sales, and maybe that's why right now, you know, we see the ZX14, the Hayabusa, sometimes they one up each other on CCs, but we don't see it. We don't see an 1800 cc sport bike, a 2500 cc sport bike just yet. I mean, you do reach a point where you guys let me know if you've ever ridden this. I've heard from a few riders that they didn't like the handling, they didn't like the brakes, but I'll tell you, I saw one at Daytona Bike Week ridden by about a 25-year-old this year. They're coming back in style. What is old is new again. I think they're more popular now than they were in the late 70s. While we're talking about big bore Hondas, the legendary Honda CR500. We love the two-strokes. We miss the two-strokes. At least I do. How about you in the comments? I've had a few 250s. Love them. This one, double the displacement. You really had to have a lot of talent and a lot of skill to be able to control this one. AMA Motocross used to have a class for the big 500cc two-strokes, the big thumpers. This one expected to bring in, are you ready for this? $18,000. It is a 1997 CR500, and it's not even stock. As you can see, it's got some upgrades, Poison Factory racing parts, this Bill's pipe. These things were absolutely wicked. You hit power band on a CR500, you're in for a treat. Those of you who've done it know what I'm saying. Well, here's one where I'm definitely kicking myself because it wasn't that long ago, and maybe there's a lesson to be learned here, motorcycle fans. The year 2013 was not that long ago, because I can remember walking into a dealership seeing this special Ryan Dungey edition KTM. Well, guess what? This one's never been ridden. Somebody was very, very smart and just kept it as a collector's item, and guess what it's worth now? Expected to bring in $20,000 here at the Mecum auction. That might be better than buying Apple stock. And that's what we're seeing here. Just like the sports card industry, just like so many other things, there's a stock market aspect to what we're doing. And I'll tell you what, keeping this one for a decade, keeping it nice and clean and keeping it in the living room, if you have a missus at home that is agreeable to that, or maybe the man cave, and then making a $10,000 profit on it, not a bad deal to me. What say you? This particular model had a lot of special trick factory parts. Wasn't exactly what Ryan Dungey rode to wins, but it was close, and it certainly was far from stock. This lot is pretty cool too, because it comes with a lot of memorabilia, including a framed Ryan Dungey's Wheatie box. How about that, guys? Piece of history, and it's not even that old. How about we jump back 100 years? There's your 2013. There's your 1913. This is the Reading Standard twin cylinder. This one from the estate of the famous Steve McQueen. Check out the patina finish. It's got a rear luggage rack, rear center stand, front and rear fenders still intact. They have survived. Geez, it's astounding. It's astounding to see where motorcycles have come, how they were first created. Take a look. That's a perfect side-by-side comparison of a 1913 versus a 2013. Riders of today certainly enjoy a whole lot more luxury than they did way back then. This one, just an awesome survivor. Gonna go for a lot of money here at Mecum, no doubt about that. All right, here's something from my Harley-Davidson Panhead fans. Where are you at, guys? We're gonna give you a look throughout the years. First, we start with the 1948 Harley-Davidson L Panhead. Look at this one, finally restored, so shiny. And then we're gonna jump over here to stay in chronological order, because this is a very fine motorcycle as well. This is a 1961 Harley-Davidson Panhead. It's got that silver paint, blue pinstripe, awesome piece of history. And then we jump all the way to the year 1994 with a bunch of custom work. This is a 1994 Harley Pan Series STS Custom. All three of them right next to each other here at Mecum Auction. Another pretty cool comparison and a pretty cool visual. There's differences, but I'll tell you what, for as much time that separates these three motorcycles, a lot of similarities as well. Famous custom bikes too. This is a 1960 Harley-Davidson Arlen Ness Digger. It is based on the 1960 Harley-Davidson XLCH Sportster. It's won numerous shows. Very impressive, getting a whole lot of attention. How about this front end too? How about it, guys? I love seeing what riders of yesteryear had to work with. This is a 1971 Harley-Davidson FX Super Glide here. Love the paint scheme, classic Harley-Davidson livery and design. And if you think that that one's primitive, well, we're gonna go back just a little bit further. The 1912 Flying Merkle, 61 cubic inches, sold on a bill of sale, of course. Hard to locate, or even impossible to locate titles for some of these motorcycles. You're talking so far back, but really impressive. And I talked about the front end over there, separating the men from the boys. How about this front end? Who wants to go fast on that bicycle-like chassis? It's really amazing. What did I just say about separating the men from the boys? Well, maybe the proficient, talented riders from the newbies. You better be skilled and you better know how to ride if you're gonna throw a leg over this in 1975 or any time for that matter. This, of course, 1975 Kawasaki H2 750 two-stroke triple. The bike came out in 72. It was known as the Widowmaker, and it was known as that for good reason. If you were a novice and you grabbed a handful of this thing and it hit power band, it could easily sling you off that bench seat, and that's what happened to a lot of people, guys. Very classic bike. We see a lot of them turn to drag bikes because they're so lightweight, so fast. Unique design, 3 carburetors, 3 cylinders, 3 exhaust chambers, 750 cc's of two-stroke horsepower. Why did this bike go away? Well, there's many reasons for that, but Kawasaki saw the writing on the wall. They knew there was pressure coming from the EPA. They didn't want two-strokes on the street anymore, and they knew that 4-cylinder technology was the way to go, and that's why they had spent so much time behind the scenes working on the Z1900. But this bike lasted until 1975. This is the last year for the model, and in this condition, guys, this motorcycle expected to bring in $30,000. 1972 was the first year for the H2 750, but it wasn't the first year for the Kawasaki triple. Look at this one, 1970. This is an H1 500. Two-strokes, very popular back then, very wickedly fast. Like we said, Kawasaki they knew that these days were coming to an end, that's for sure, and that's why so much time behind the scenes was spent on 4-stroke technology. But back in the year 1970, this was an absolutely wickedly fast bike. It still is wickedly fast. Kawasaki started production of the two-stroke triple in 1968 with the H1 500, and by 1969, a new era of performance had been ushered in. 60 horsepower, revved to 8,000 RPM, guys. This one could do 125 miles an hour. That was blazing speed in the year 1969. This one expected to go for about $20,000. Not quite as valuable as the more desirable H2 750, but certainly the H1 500 has a very, very important place in motorcycle history. If you really had a lot of foresight as a collector, or maybe a dealer that was not organized and lost track of one upstairs, you kept the motorcycle in the crate. That's the case here for this 2002 Ducati, still in the crate. Anytime we see this, the value just skyrockets. It's so rare to see one in that condition, in the crate. It's something special, and you got to wonder, would the owner take it out of the crate or leave it in? I guess it all depends on what you want to do with it. Different strokes for different folks. Haha, get it, 4-stroke, 2-stroke. But no, in all seriousness, because here's what we see at this auction. Some people spend their life savings on these motorcycles and baby them, protect them, keep them in the crates. There was a buyer here, I think it was 3 years ago. You guys can check out my video on this channel. I've been coming for a while. But they bought like 6 2-strokes for about 30 grand a pop. And I asked the guy, what are you gonna do? You're gonna keep them in a climate controlled environment, put them up on the mantle? He looked at me, he said, we're gonna ride the hell out of these things. So really it just maybe depends on your pockets, your bank account. If you've got 20 million in the bank, hey, it's no big thing to go buy a 1972 H2 750 and just absolutely go out and have some fun. People would probably be amazed at what we do with modern dirt bikes. Go spending 10 grand on a woods bike, 12 grand on a woods bike, and then wrap it around a tree. I've been guilty of that. So all depends on what you want to do and what your objective is. I gotta tell you, I do believe in the mantra though. Don't hide them, ride them. Does that mean Cycle Drag would take that Ducati out of the crate? I don't know. It's hard to say when it's your money, but let me know what you would do down below. Well, when I talk so much about the Z1, here's what it evolved into. 1977 Kawasaki KZ1000. That was the first year they went to the 1000. In 76, it was a KZ900. This is a motorcycle that Cycle Drag is proud to say we own. Ours doesn't look like that though, not nearly that stock. Mine's a resto mod with Lester mags and an LTD seat. I love it. You can see it on this channel if you look hard enough. We restored it for several years and put the finishing touches on it at Larry Spider-Man McBride's Cycle Specialist. Big thanks to the Spider-Man. He made it look like $1 million bucks. You may see me out riding it. The motorcycle we credit for starting the sport bike craze, a Honda CB750, this one in 1970, and here we are now. Don't look now, guys, but the Hayabusa is already a collector's item. This one, totally custom. This is a 2006. It's got a lot of speakers on it. Look at the finish. Look at the seat. Look at the paint. Look at the attention to detail. The chrome. It is amazing. Sold with no reserve here. And we're going to see some stock Hayabusas when we go downstairs here in just a little bit. And believe it or not, guys, Suzuki Hayabusa, which came out in 1999, is putting together one of the most epic, legendary runs of all time. The Gen 3's out now, but the Gen 1, especially the 99 stock, is super collectible already. I want to show you guys this one. This is a 1940 Indian Junior Scout 8-ball bobber. It was restored in 2015. It's sharp looking. Great motorcycle. And then I also want to turn my attention to all the board racers. I don't know a whole lot about these bikes. I just know they look like bicycles, and the riders of yesteryear were absolutely fearless. Whatever you know about them, please leave them down below in the comments. I'll give you some quick hitters here. This is a 1931 Harley Davidson. Over here, we have the 1925 Harley Davidson. This one, no reserve, 1914 Indian twin board track racer. Big rivalry between Harley and Indian. Even back then, this is the 1918 Excelsior board track racer. And over here, we have a 1913 8-valve twin board track racer by Indian. It is so amazing that these motorcycles have stood the test of time. There's really not many of them left. Many say the 70s were the most transformative decade for the motorcycle industry. And, you know, if you think about it, the board racers we just looked at, they were pretty standard. They looked the same. Motorcycles in the 50s and the 60s, pretty standard. Didn't look much different. And in the 70s, oh yeah, fairings were for race bikes, not for street bikes. That is until the Kawasaki Z1R proved that it wasn't with this styling, this unmistakable styling in 1978. This motorcycle was made 2 years, 78 and 80, sought after for sure. Look at this one, absolutely amazing condition. About 90 horsepower back then. You could have one for between $3,000 and $5,000 in the year 1978. How many of you wish you could go back? Because this one expected to bring in about $18,000 here at Mecum. That trend continued into the 80s. Here's the fairing on a 1984 Honda Nighthawk. Very cool paint job, beautiful motorcycle. This one's only got 1,600 original miles, highly sought after. This one wanted by many collectors. What made this motorcycle different was the split 3-spoke wheels. Pretty cool. Same design up in the front as well. It is the Honda Nighthawk S from the year 1984. So unusual, so different, so unlike Honda. This is the 2004 Honda Valkyrie Rune 6-cylinder 1800cc plus machine. A big deviation for Honda. This thing, we've talked to people who've had it out on the road, and it's just so unassuming. The motor is so comfortable. You don't have to stress it much to go the speed limit out on the highway. It's something very, very different, that's for sure. Check out these 5-spoke wheels too. Great styling, and you know, true to Honda form, it was engineered so well. Everything did its job. Everything was very efficient. Really a cool bike. I'm surprised we don't see more of them out there for sure. Kudos to Honda. Great looking hot rod. This is the kind of cool stuff that you'll see here too, guys. This is 1959 Harley Davidson FLH Captain America replica. Absolutely spotless. I know so many of you out there would ride the heck out of this thing. Why not? It's a replica, still collectible here at Mecum. It's not the aforementioned 1999, but it is a Gen 1 with only 5 miles on it, guys. 2001 Suzuki Hayabusa. Wow, somebody tucked this one away. I just don't know if I could do that. I don't know. I do have a Gen 3, guys. I've already far exceeded 5 miles. I want to keep the miles low, but 5 miles, wow. Somebody took it for a ride around the block a couple times, and it's for sale here at Mecum. There's another one of the super valuable bikes here this year. It is a 1916 Henderson. This one expected to bring in over $200,000. A lot of people taking a good look and wishing, just like me, huh? It might take a second mortgage, and some people are doing just that. That's what it'll take if you want to bring home a 1916 Henderson. Beautiful, guys. Let me go in and just show you the detail, how clean this is. This has really, really been taken care of. Beautiful piece of history. And here's a 1986 Suzuki GSXR 1100R Skoal Bandit Racer. This one full restoration. It has got a Yoshimura exhaust. It's also got a fully built Yoshimura race engine. Nice to see a lot of the race bikes here as well. They have their place in history. Maybe not quite as collectible as some of the early street bikes, but for you race fans out there, how awesome is this machine? Really brings back some memories. Right next to it, a 1986 RG500 Gamma. Great bike by Suzuki. Guys, it's a 2-stroke sport bike. $50,000 is expected to bring in. This one came from Canada, not many miles or kilometers on this one, I should say. These things were so cool, not produced for very long, and there weren't many of them out there. We saw one at Two Stroke Bike Week at Tail of the Dragon last year that was attracting all types of attention. You can see that video right here on Cycle Drag YouTube under Two Stroke Bike Week. It is super cool though, that is for sure. A 2-stroke sport bike. With more than 2,000 motorcycles here, it's hard to appropriately give love to everyone that deserves it. I see some that just really bring back some memories for me. As you can tell, I love my sport bikes. This is a 1990 Yamaha FZR 1000. Right next to it, we have another 1979 Honda CBX 6-cylinder bike. The good news for a lot of these bidders here is there's multiple options. If you miss one, you may be able to get another one. We talked about the Valkyrie Rune. Here's one with a different paint job, a different livery. We also talked about the RG500. Here's another 1986 Suzuki RG500. This one, different styling as well, different paint, different scheme. So you will have a few options, but when you come here to Mecum, you better be ready to pay top dollar, like I said, because there are bidders from all over the world watching and participating. So many have had their eyes on these bikes for months ahead of time.
2 Suzuki GSXR 1100 Skoal Bandit. Comprehensive concourse restoration. 2-year build, sourcing special trick and kit parts from over 6 countries. Off-highway branding.
Here we go, guys. Skoal Bandit GSXR. Wow.
Where's Jess at? 5, 7,000, and 5, 7, and a 10, I'd get a bit of 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 a 7,000, 10,000 a bid. It's 10, I'd get a bit of a 10, I'd get a bit of a 7, hello, I'd get a bit of 10,000, it's 10, I'd get a bit of a 10, I'd get a bit of a 9, 10, 9 bid, 10, and 9 here, take a rick, get a bit of a 10, and 9, I'd get a bit of a 12, I'd get a bit of a 10, I'd get a bit of a 12 pound bid, and 10, I'd get a bit of a 12, I'd get a bit of a 10, I'd get a bit of a 12,000 a bid, 10, 12, and a bit of 12,000 a bid, I'd get a bit of a 10, 11,000 a bid, 10,
wow, this was expected to go for much more, estimated to 30.
I'd get a bit of a 10, I'd get a bit of a 10, I'd get a bit of a 1,000 a bid, I'd get a bit of a 10, and 11, thank you, now 12, now 13, now 13, I'd get a bit of par, get a bit of a 13 bid, 13, I'd get a bit of a 13, I'd get a bit of par, get a bit of a 13,000, and 12 bid, I'd get a bit of 13, I'd get a last call, sir, I'd get a bit of 12, and if you get 13 bid, I'd get a bit of a 15, I'd get a bit of 15, and 13 bid, asking 15,000, 15,000, 15 bid, 15, 14, 15 bid, and 15, 16, I'd get a bit of 15 bid, 16,000, I'd get a bit of 16, that's gonna go, 15's here, 16 bid, 15, I'd get a bit of a 16, I'd get a bit of a 16, 15 down, get a bit of a 16, 16, 17 bid, down 17, 16, 17 bid, free service off 16, 17 bid, 17, I'd get a bit of a 17, I'd get get a swirly, get a bit of a 16, how to get a bit of a 17, 18, 18 to bid, 18, how to get a bit of a now they're coming in, how to get a bit of a 17, 18, 18 to bid, how to get a bit of a 17,
What a
18, how to
comeback.
get a bit of a 2 pound, 17, 18, 9 pound, sold 17, sold 17,000 to the internet, ladies and gentlemen.
Canadian model, one owner in highly original condition with off-road branding.
You're right,
RG Gamma, guys, highly desirable.
20, 107, 25, 170, I got 25 on mine, 27 pound dollar.
Wow.
57, now 7, now 30, 32. Reserves off, 130 now 2. I'll take 36, break the tie, 7, 8, now 38,
Wow.
and 38,000, 800, no, I already got 37, asking 38, sir. I'm 37, now 8 pound, last call. So $37,000 on the
Sold
internet.
for 37. So here we go, guys. Here comes that Tiger GSXR. Man, I want it. What do you think it's going to sell for? What do you think it's going to go for? Predictions down below. Let me know. Let's find out.
Last year, the oil-cooled Tiger, highly original, unrestored condition. And somebody get 25,000, you better get 20. At 20,000, you better get 20, you better get 20, you better get 10,000, you better get 5 here, you better get 6, 7. At 7,000, you better get 7 bid, you better get 7, you better get 5 here, you better get 7. At 5,000, you better get 7,000, you better get 5 here, you better get 5,000, and you better get $5,000 for it. At 6,000, you better get 6 bid, you better get 5 bid, you better get 6. At $5,000 bid, you better get 6,000, you better get 5 bid, 6. At $5,000 bid, you better get $6,000. Anybody else? I have $5,000 bid. Anybody get $6,000 for it? Now $7,000. At 7,000, you better get 7 bid. You better get 7. You better get 7. I have $6,000 bid. You better get 7 bid. You better get 7,000. You better get 7. At 7,000, you better get 8. I have 7 bid. You better get 8 here. Reserve is off. I have 7,000. You better get 8,000. You better get 7,500. Sold $7,000. Laura.
That's it. Shoo.
And
Amazing.
now offering S198.1. You better get 17. And 16,000. You better get 17,000.
It's a long show, guys. It's a long show. Marathon. 5 days this year. I mean, what a spectacle. What a show, though. Where else could you see a 1922 Henderson Deluxe 4-cylinder? Piece of history. Right next to a piece of Suzuki history. I got to properly call this one out because a lot of people on Facebook were like, Jack, where's all the GSs? We got a lot of GS fans in the drag racing world, and I didn't see too many of them here this year. I don't know what that means. Does that mean they're drying up? They're not quite as collectible? I don't know, but I'll tell you right now, I'd be looking to stockpile GSs because I think they're going to follow the Z1s and the KZs. This is a 1983 GS1100ES, expected to go for about $15,000. So as you can see, in terms of price point, they're not there with the Z1s or the KZs, but the question is, will they be someday? You guys let me know. I mean, it'll be the smart buyer, like I said, that gobbles them up if they skyrocket in value, and I wouldn't be surprised if that's what happens. Here's one I showed you earlier, but we didn't really do a deep dive. I told you it was a motorcycle to die for. Well, this one was built for the one and only Johnny Depp after the success of the Pirates of the Caribbean movie, built by Arlen Ness. Check out this deep black pearl paint. This thing has a lot of features where you need to look close too, because there's actual gold pirate coins tacked on different parts of the bike. This reminds me of something that would have come out of Orange County Choppers with the detail and how sentimental it is, and I'm sure Johnny Depp absolutely loved it, guys. You'll also see a Pirate's Cutlass. This served as a suicide shifter on the right-hand side, mounted above the air cleaner, and it is a flintlock pistol. Let's check that out on the right side. You can see the sword from the movie. Let's see what the value, look at the value on this, guys. Estimate $250,000. I'm still looking for some of those coins that they had pointed out. I have not quite been able to find one. Okay, they maybe got one down there. Pirates of the Caribbean, Johnny Depp bike. Paint is outstanding. I can tell you that. Is it worth $250,000? Well, I have a confession. I've never seen Pirates of the Caribbean. Really, believe it or not, don't know much about Johnny Depp other than the headlines that he made this past year, being in court so much. But $250,000, not my taste. But I can appreciate it. It's cool. It's a bike that has a little bit more cachet anytime it was built for a celebrity you know that somebody out there is going to pay a whole lot of money for it.
It's the Johnny Depp bike. Caribbean movie by Arlen Ness. Yeah, right. Something called Nick.
Where's my Johnny Depp fans? Any Johnny Depp fans? Johnny Depp fans, there we go. Pirates of the Caribbean.
30,000, 40,000, $50,000. $50,000, 40, $50,000. 40,
They said this bike was valued at $250K.
40, 50, again, 50, down 16, and 16,000, 50, 60, 50,000, 60, and 50,000, 60,000, and 50,000, 60,000, and 50, 60, and 50,000, down 60, 50,000, and leave it there, and 60 pound out of bed, and 60, and down 60, and 60, and down 70, and 70,000, 60, 70, and 70,000, and 60,000 on a bed, and 70,000 on a bed, and 60, 70, and 70 pound out of bed, later down, down 70,000, 60, and 70,000, final call, and 16,000, and 65. Postman at 60,000, the bid goes on.
Lot S, 193 and
Johnny Depp bike was supposed to bring in like 200,000. Nobody bid. This market not really appreciating the celebrity-owned bikes. Maybe takes a special buyer, a super fan, to get what you're really asking for there. All right, remember earlier we talked about the fairing on the Z1R? Well, check out this 1983 Eddie Lawson replica bike. A fitting tribute to him because Eddie Lawson, along with Rob Muzzy, won the 1981 and 82 AMA Superbike titles, and Kawasaki decided to roll out this tribute. Very fitting. Officially known as the 1983 Kawasaki KZ1000 R2 Superbike Replica ELR for Eddie Lawson replica paint. Here's another defining feature. The 7-spoke gold alloy wheels, telescopic front forks. You had dual shocks in the back. Let's give you a look at the power plant that you know well, very much like what we see with the Z1, the KZ's 998cc double overhead cam, inline 4. On the other side, guys, you had a 4-into-1 black Kirker. Many people out there, many people will say the Kirker was the best sounding exhaust for the Kawasaki of this era. Beautiful motorcycle, like I said, very rare, not many of these made. Several years later, Kawasaki would come back out with the same paint style on the ZRX, another tribute to Eddie Lawson and the great Rob Muzzy. 1 year later, we saw this classic styling, and here comes the hairdryer, the turbo, 750 cc's. This, guys, is the 1984 Kawasaki ZX 750 Turbo. This motorcycle, very, very impressive. Another 4-cylinder, 5-speed, 2-tone red, dual front brake. We got a single disc in the rear. Comes with a service manual and a whole bunch of other goodies. It's a great looking motorcycle here. Take a look at it, guys. I see that, I think Top Gun. Not the exact bike in Top Gun, we'll talk more about that, but certainly of that era. It's close, but not quite. A lot of people wonder, what did Maverick, Tom Cruise, riding the original Top Gun? It's actually a 1985 GPZ900R. We'll see if we can find one. I haven't seen one yet. And having just seen the new Top Gun, great job, by the way, loved it. I see that Maverick was on the Kawasaki H2, not the H2 two-strokes that we saw earlier, but the supercharged H2, which, by the way, conspicuous by its absence. Don't see any H2s here. That bike a bit of a mystery. We didn't see as many as we thought at the drag strip, and not seeing them here yet. I'm sure someday that will be a much talked about motorcycle, but for some reason the supercharged Kawasaki bike just never really caught on the way Kawasaki had hoped. Maybe like the CBX that we talked about back in the day. Maybe it's one of those bikes where sales are down, but 20 years from now, you're gonna see people going crazy at the auction. Maybe you'll see young riders like him over there going crazy with his family. That's what it's all about, guys, about the next generation. There's another 750 turbo. Love the red and black. I'll tell you, the 750 war was on in the early 80s because take a look at its competition right next to it, the 1983 Honda VF750 Interceptor. This was a great bike as well. Gotta love the 80s. We talked about the 70s, but let's not forget the 80s was a great decade for motorcycles as well. I'd like to know in the comments, what was your favorite decade for motorcycles? We're still going. Some of you may say 2020s, and I'm not going to argue with you because I think we're off to a great start. Yeah, this decade has produced the Gen 3 Hayabusa. I think that's a good looking bike. And how about the Gen 1? Finally found the iconic machine we're looking for. This is the one that started it all for the Suzuki Hayabusa in 1999. This one with a tick under 7,000 miles. The people that protected these and didn't chop them up and didn't change the exhaust and didn't mod them out for the drag strip are going to be rewarded. And I don't want to disparage that because I love that. I got a 2014 that I've chopped up for the drag strip, but I can tell you this, my new one is staying bone stock because this is how they're so collectible and so valuable. It really comes down to what you like, how you want it, but this one, really a piece of history. Can you believe, too, I want to talk about this, the Suzuki Hayabusa has been out since '99. What a run. And the reason I drive that home, guys, is we look at these iconic models like the Z1, the KZ, the GS, things that have lasted, you know, a decade or longer, but you're talking about the Suzuki Hayabusa standing the test of time. We're probably going to see a quarter century of this motorcycle, 3 different generations. It's truly amazing that it's lasted that long, and I think that really helps out all you guys out there who love drag racing like me. We talked about that Harley factory drag bike earlier. Well, this is probably as close to a factory drag bike as you're going to get from Suzuki. It doesn't take much, especially the new ones. You can drop them. The claim on this bike is you can drop it right in the 9s. The new bikes, with a few mods, you drop them right into the 8s. This one's a 2003, and it is collectible, and it is clean as well. This has to be one of the cleanest and most identifiable Vance Hines road racing bikes out there. 1992 Yamaha FZR 600 RD. Only 600 of these ever produced. Double overhead cam, inline 4-cylinder, and that livery, that branding, that is something that we got to tip our cap to Vance Hines with. They've always just been great at that. There's no mistaking Team Vance Hines race bike, that's for sure. Looks great. What the street edition looked like 5 years later, 1997 Yamaha FZR 600R. Really, really clean. And we go back quite a few years if we then turn our attention to this 1974 Yamaha Trackmaster 360 Star Racer. Look at this, guys. Again, like I said, these race bikes, not quite as collectible as what was stock from the factory, but very cool to look at nonetheless. Great Yamaha collection too. We go over here, we see a 1988 Yamaha DT50. Popular pit bikes for motorcycle drag racers. Love those. Over here we jump to the 1983 KDX 250. If you want to go motocross racing, supercross racing, you got the KX. If you wanted it dual sport or you wanted to go woods racing, you got yourself a KDX. 1976 Yamaha RD 400. We gave a lot of love to the Kawasaki's. We got to give it to Yamaha as well, guys. Something that's unique here too is twin cylinders, but one-piece cylinder head on these bikes. Something that a lot of builders didn't like, kind of liken it to how the ZX14 has the cylinders that are attached to the cases. Sometimes the engineers do things that us shade tree mechanics may not like. And here is a Suzuki 1982 Suzuki GS1100 Katana. Those of you that rip on it have called it a can of tuna. They're no can of tunas. They are fast, they're cool. We're seeing Suzuki reload with a retro model recently, much like Dodge has done over in the car world, and so many of them, what is old is new once again. And Triumphs are certainly timeless. This one ultra clean, guys. This one is actually a 1971 model Triumph. Beautiful, love it. Wish you were here. Hope you guys are loving this tour, by the way. Hope you appreciate my efforts. If you like what you're seeing, if you appreciate that I've taken you to Mecum, hit subscribe. I'm trying to get to 500,000 subscribers, and I would greatly appreciate it. If you have any motorcycle friends, let them do the same as well. And in the comments, let me know where you're watching from. Are you on your couch? Are you on your device? Are you on your computer? I love finding out that information. How about this KTM Super Enduro big bore machine, 950 cc's of displacement on this bad boy. So much to see, guys. I'm telling you, there's just, you got to come here someday. Join me. You won't be able to miss me. I'm walking around with the camera, walking around in my shirt. You definitely won't miss me. Look at this 348 trail bike. What is it? A Montesa. 1985 Montesa Cota. So many of these motorcycles too, I just don't know a whole lot about. It's a very educational experience to come here. There's a 1965 Harley Davidson Sprint H. Over here we have a 1967 Harley Davidson Sprint. Super cool bikes. What a row. And when I said we haven't just scratched the surface yet, we haven't scratched the surface. All right, Honda CB fans, you will love this walk, this montage. This is 1976 Honda CB750. These bikes, too, becoming very popular with the, shall I say, the new generation, the hipsters that love that throwback machine, that retro machine. I saw a few at Daytona. I saw a few at Ocean City Bike Fest. This one, is this a 1975? Yes, it is. 1975 Honda CB4. I think here we go back to 1976 with this paint scheme, another 754. We're going to go down to 1974 here with a 354. Also made these bikes smaller bore version, and another 1974. This is an orange one like we saw upstairs earlier in the video. This one not quite as clean, but again, guys, this speaks to the, it's only original once. Yeah, you could repaint this replica, but you don't want to do it. You want to keep it original. At least that's what a lot of the devout collectors will say. But what has my mantra been all along? It all depends on what you like and what your preference is. But if you like Hondas, you would enjoy this row. There's a 1997 GSXR 750. We call this bike the hump bike. At least that's what we would call it when we see it at the drag strip. It was an SRAD Suzuki Ram Air Direct. This one's got the Micron exhaust. They were fast in their day, for sure. Still a fast, awesome bike. It's got that classic Suzuki sport bike livery and design. The hump bike, it is the SR8D GSXR 750. These little 50cc sport bikes are incredibly collectible as well, especially the ones that are older from the 80s and 90s. This one is from 2004. It is the Honda NSR 50cc machine. I wanted one of these so bad when I was a kid. What kid wouldn't make you feel like you're a street bike racer when you're like 10 years old? And one thing I have not shown you a whole lot of that we're going to look at here coming up is the mini bikes, the trail bikes. These are super collectible because they bring back so many memories. How many of you out there grew up on this? And I'm probably younger than a lot of you, and I grew up on this. My buddy had one. You know, we didn't have a ton of money, but his family had one, and every day when we would get off the school bus, we'd go in the backyard, we'd make a little track, and we would all take turns riding it. It certainly didn't look like this because we wrapped it around a tree a couple times, but great motorcycle. So I had a thought here, and let me know what you guys think about it in terms of, we've talked about where is this sport heading, where will the collectability go. I can really appreciate those early Harley flat track board racers. They're so cool, but I can't tell you I would want to own one. Why? Because it was so far before my time. So does that represent where we're going? Somebody that was born in the year, say, you know, 2005, are they going to want a Z1? Are they going to want an 80s sport bike? I don't know. It's very interesting to see where we're going, what lives on, and what won't live on. Case in point, I can tell you I want this one because I have a personal connection. I had the Yamaha 400 from this era, and I was just a young man, My stepdad's brother-in-law had one, and he wasn't doing anything with it. So my stepdad said, yeah, let the kid learn how to ride. And my goodness, being 10 years old, learning how to ride on one of these, I had every fender, turn signal broken off it, injuries that I still feel today, but I wouldn't trade those memories for the world, that's for sure. Enjoying bikes, meeting our friends. 2 years ago, I remember you. What motorcycle did we feature here with 2 years ago?
75 Z1 900.
And you sold it?
Burgundy, yeah.
All right, so now you're a buyer or a seller?
We're looking to buy something.
Looking to buy. Well, you got a great wife. I like that, right? They're investments, not toys. Investments, right?
Yeah, they are investments.
Thank you guys for watching and enjoy the show.
Thank you.
There's a lot to choose from when it comes to buying one. That is for certain. Out of the Bob Weaver collection, this is the 1987 Suzuki GSXR 1100 red and black paint. I think red and black, my favorite paint scheme. Definitely hot rod colors. What do you guys think? Love it though. Looks great on the Kawasaki. Looks great on this Suzuki. I told you I would show you some of the great mini bikes out there. I know so many of you had this. The Mini Trail, the Z50. This is a 1972 Honda. And then let's see what we have next to it. This Indian, what year is this? 1974 Indian, small bore. Wow, look at this. It was on Sports Illustrated, actually on the cover. It's an MM5. Going to be sold with no reserve. 1974 Indian. Another small bore Honda. This one's a 1974 Honda MR50. Another one of the Indians over here. What year is this? It's 1972 Indian Junior Cross. A lot of publicity for these bikes back in the day, featured on Mini Bike Magazine. And another one of the aforementioned Honda Trail 70s. That one, super, super clean. A lot of reproduction parts being made for these bikes as well. That will help you shade tree mechanics like me out there that want to keep them going. Won't help you collectors that want to keep everything OEM. And trust me, you come here with this many experts, people have a keen eye and they know what they're looking for. In 2017, sadly, Nicky Hayden passed away and we lost a racing legend so far before his time. Godspeed, Nicky. But the good news is his 2004 RC51 by Honda lives on, and a lot of people want this motorcycle here at Mecum. I guarantee you that. This was Honda's way of commemorating the 2002 AMA Superbike Championship won by the late legend. I know some of you out there have some Nicky Hayden memories. So much fun to watch on the track. Sorely missed to this day. This is a really special bike. 1000cc twin cylinder engine, about 136 horsepower, top speed of 166 miles per hour. Something special, not too many of them left. Like I said, Honda really had a run in motorsports at this time, for sure, between Nicky Hayden and what Ricky Carmichael would go on to do. Very, very impressive run for one of the greatest engineering companies ever. A lot of high-tech engineering, revised swing arm, revised chassis, 62 millimeter throttle bodies. This thing is snappy, this thing was quick, and it pays tribute to a legend that we lost way, 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 way too soon. Nicky Hayden, Godspeed, RIP, but his legacy lives on, a whole lot of racing memories and very cool motorcycles like this one right here. Here's one that's really cool too, guys. I met the owners yesterday. Brian Johnson of AC/DC once owned this motorcycle. He signed it on the back. It is a 2009 Harley Davidson, and there it is. There's Brian on it. They've got the original bill of sale. So if you're an AC/DC fan, this may be something that you're interested in, especially with the autograph. This couple from Florida hoping that it sells and they don't have to take it back on that long trip from the desert back to the beach. That's pretty cool though. Back in Black, Brian Johnson, AC/DC, one of the greatest selling rock albums of all time.
Featured on the 1980 hit album Back in Black, and it's signed Back in Black by Brian Johnson on the fuel tank.
Here we go. Brian Johnson, AC/DC bike.
I'm just living on money. 200. Who wants to be 200,000? 200,000.
Wow.
Shooting high. 12 for you here. 100,000. 101. Somebody get 50,000 for it. 50. 50,000. 50,000. 50,000. 50,000. 50,000. Yep, 50. 50,000. Somebody get $30,000 for it. 30. 30,000. 30.
It's thunderstruck.
Yep, 30. Get 20, 25. Get 20 bid, 25. Get 20.
It's
Get
sinking.
5.
It's sinking low.
Get 5. Get 5. Get 20 to 5. 500. Get $20,000. Get 25,000. Get 20. Get 5 bid. Get 5 bid. 100 to 5. Get 500. Get 20 to 5. Get 20 to 5. 100 get 20 to 5. 500. 20,000. Anybody else here? $25,000. 20, 25. Get 20 to 5. We got a lot of work to do. The curve. Get 20 to 5. 100 get 20 down 5. We want to leave it there. 100 get 20 bid. 100 get 25,000.
At 20,000 bid goes on. Up next is on
S192.1. So guys, what did we learn there? Both celebrity bikes did not sell. The Brian Johnson bike didn't sell. That was supposed to bring in about 50, 60. The Johnny Depp bike was supposed to bring in like 200,000. Nobody bid. This market not really appreciating the celebrity-owned bikes. That looks like fun. 1912 Flanders 4-horsepower single, valued at about $45,000. Like I said, guys, I can really appreciate this stuff. It's awesome for $45,000. I probably wouldn't want to own it. A little out of my price range, and just not something that I would care to spend that much money for, but I can appreciate it for sure. It's historic. And then next to it, how about the WR500 Yamaha? It's a 1993 model, and I just read one of only 1,000 produced. Had no idea about that. I know that I really don't recognize that livery. I'll have to find out a little bit more. Just a really unique bike, and almost seems a little out of its era. Single cylinder, air-cooled, 500cc machine. Maybe it was an experiment by Yamaha. If any of you know why only 1,000 units were produced, let me know down below in the comments. But we know where one of them is. Where are the other 999? I think at least 500 of them are probably lost in the dirt. My first true dirt bike was a 1984 YZ125. They were black and gold. This is the next year. It's the 1985 Yamaha YZ250. Monoshock was very new back then. Liquid cooled was relatively new back then as well. Gotta love it. The Yamaha YZ250 in the year 1985. Some of these motorcycle companies didn't last very long, and that makes their bikes even more rare and even more collectible. Here's a 2009 Victory Vision. I don't know a whole lot about this. Kind of looks like a, you know, it looks like a Honda Goldwing meets a custom chopper meets a Harley Davidson bagger. But nonetheless, pretty cool bike. There's no mistaking that design. Yes, that is a BMW. This is an 800cc 5-speed 1984 BMW R80 GS Paris Dakar edition. Rare motorcycle. As I told you, BMW taking center stage this year at the auction. We're going to see some of the most collectible BMWs coming up. Getting a little loud down here on the floor, though. Here's the Kenny Roberts RZ 350. Not the Kenny Rogers bike, the Kenny Roberts bike. You'll know that inside joke from Two Stroke Bike Week, but these things are so cool. The Gambler, Kenny Rogers. They might get a few bucks off for no rear wheel, huh? Well, thank you for your hard work. We appreciate it. As we told you, all this Mecum crew working hard. Road art display here as well as a life-size bronze statue, Bill Mack, lot F222 here at Mecum Auction. Well, guys, we got a real treat because I promised you the real expert would join us, the one and only Card Cramming. I think you need to change the handle to Card Motorcycle Cramming because you know your bikes too, just as well as anybody. So you are the perfect guy to talk about the headliner this year, the Black Forest BMW collection, 20s, 30s, and on up. This is amazing. Tell me a little bit about what we're looking at.
Yeah, this is a history lesson right here in BMW. Now, keep in mind, BMW really got its notoriety as a aircraft engine manufacturer during World War I. But after the close of the war, the Versailles Treaty prevented BMW from building any more airplane engines. You know what they said? We're going to go ahead, we're going to develop a motorcycle engine. And in the early 1920s, they did exactly that. They actually started off just by building engines, not motorcycles. Part of this 10 motorcycle group, literally out of the Black Forest of Germany. Yes, a German resident acquired, purchased, restored all 10 of these historic motorcycles from the 1920s and have brought them here to sell. Anyway, BMW started making the engines for other manufacturers, and then about 1923 decided, you know what, let's go ahead and let's start making our own motorcycles. And they knocked it out of the ballpark. Here's why. If you think of BMW today, traditionally, they have other engine configurations as well. But we think of the Boxer configuration with the two cylinders, twin cylinders, laid down on their side, extending out the side of the motorcycle. Well, you know what? They invented that platform for their motorcycles back in the early 1920s. The technology that they had even back then, which many and most motorcycles didn't have, roller bearing crankshafts, still high tech by today's standards, full pressure oiling system, and a shaft drive. Now, as you look at these 10 bikes and you folks have a chance to see them, you're going to see a lot of technology issues that are still important and relevant and used today. You're going to see that. So they started out with their Boxer twin in a mild performance, utilitarian, flathead configuration, but they knew performance might be a way to sell motorcycles as well. So they stepped it up and went to an overhead valve version as an option. They refer to it as a sport version. We've got one of those in this collection as well. So bottom line on this, Jack, is the fact that these 10 motorcycles represent the absolute pinnacle of early BMW history. They are the finest, the best restored, the most significant early BMWs on the planet, and all 10 of them are going to be selling here at Mecum, Las Vegas. As for me as a lifetime motorcycle fan, not really being a BMW guy, but understanding the importance of these motorcycles, man, it is a thrill just to be next to these bikes.
And clearly, kudos to Mecum, because that speaks to your organization that you're not going to put this collection on Facebook Marketplace or eBay. You're going to bring it here where the competition is high and there's bidders watching from all over the world. This is where they're going to get top dollar.
Well, and I'm glad you mentioned that, because just at this one auction alone, 25 major collections at this one auction. 2,000 motorcycles, expecting to do somewhere in the $20 million range in the sale of collector motorcycles. And it goes beyond that. We've talked about this a lot, but it's worth reminding everybody, this is way more than a motorcycle auction. This is a lifestyle event. This is chock full of motorcycle guys and gals that love motorcycling. It's not about brand loyalty. It's not about any of that at all. It's about the sheer joy of motorcycles, talking motorcycles, learning about motorcycles, seeing motorcycles that you might have heard of and not ever seen, or maybe even seeing motorcycles that you've never even heard of. All at the same time that the auction is going at a very rapid pace. It's an incredible event, and for a lot of motorcycle enthusiasts, man, we see so many of the same people year after year after year. This is a must-attend event by any standard.
What else are you going to do in January, motorcycle fans? This is the place to be. John, I can't thank you enough. Thanks so much, guys. Make sure you check him out on Motor Trend TV and Mecum Auctions. He is the man.
Thank you, Jack. Appreciate it, buddy.
Now offering F145 from the Forest Collection of 1925 BMW R37. Discovered 25 years ago at the Marxell Museum in Germany in highly original condition. The R37 was BMW's first competition motorcycle. Extremely rare tack and speedometer. And somebody get $300,000. Anybody get $300,000? Anybody get $250,000? At $250,000. Somebody get $200,000. At $200,000 bid. Anybody get $200,000? Bid. Anybody get $200,000? At $200,000. Give $150,000. $150,000. Somebody give $100,000 for it. $100,000. I have $100,000 bid. $120,000. $30,000. $130,000. $130,000. $40,000. $140,000. $50,000. $150,000. $60,000. $160,000. $160,000. I have $150,000 bid. $160,000. $70,000. $170,000. I have $160,000. $170,000. $160,000 is the bid. $170,000 for it. I have $160,000. $170,000. $180,000. $180,000. $170 bid. $180,000. $180,000. $175,000. $180,000. $180,000. $185,000. $185,000. $90,000. $190,000 bid. Anybody get $90,000? Anybody get $90,000? Anybody get $190,000? $190,000. $190,000. I have $185,000 bid. $190,000. I have $185,000 bid. $190,000. Anybody get $190,000? $195,000. $195,000. I have $190,000. $200,000 is bid. $210,000. $200,000 bid. Anybody get $210,000? I have $200,000 bid. Anybody get $210,000? At $200,000 bid. Anybody get $210,000? Reserve is off. At $200,000.
Here we go, guys.
I have 200 bid. You're going to get 205. 205,000. I have $200,000 bid. You're going to get 25 bid. You're going to get 205. I have $200,000 bid. You're going to get 205. 205,000. $200,000 is the bid. $205,000. And you, sir, are being thunderstruck. 205. 205. 200 to bid. 205. Sold $200,000 to the telephone. Sold $200,000. Now offering at $145.1 for the Black Forrest Auction, the 1929 BMW R62.
Let's see what the R62 goes for.
The R62 was BMW's first 750cc touring motorcycle, produced for only 2 years with the bent tube frame. And somebody give $100,000 here, 100. At $100,000 bid, 100 bid, you're going to get 30 bid, 40. I have 30 bid, you're going to get 40, you're going to get 40, you're going to get 50 bid, you're going to get 50. I have 40 bid, you're going to get 50,000, you're going to get 50. And now 60,000, you're going to get 60 bid, you're going to get 70. I have 70 bid, 80. At 80 bid, you're going to get 80, reserve is off. I have 80 bid, you're going to get 90, 90, 90, 100. 100 bid, 100 here, you're going to get 1 bid, you're going to get 100 here, 100. 100 bid, 110. 110. 110 bid, 100,000. 105, 105,000. I have 100,000, 105. Last call, 105. So $100,000.
Wow, congratulations.
Now I'll bring out 146.
Well, what do you think, guys? Did I tell you this was going to be awesome or what? We're not done yet, but you know what? I think we're going to do this in 2 parts. There's just too much to see. I need to take a little breather. I need to recharge, but we're going to have another video coming your way. I want to know down below in the comments, which motorcycle in this video was your favorite and why? Also, if you need content right now, don't forget we were here the last 5 years. The last 2 years, we had a lot of great videos that you can check out right here. Also, make sure you subscribe with notifications on so you don't miss part 2 coming. It's going to be awesome, guys. So much to see from the 2023 Mecum auction in Las Vegas. You know, if there's anything fast or collectible motorcycles, we're in. Cycle Drag rolls on.